Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a look into a really compelling personal account from World War II.
Yeah, it's called A Soldier Song, the World War II diary of Sergeant Jack Anderson.
And this isn't like a formal history, right? It's his actual diary.
Exactly. It's basically what Sergeant Jack Anderson wrote, well, almost daily for his parents back home, to give them a sense of his life during the war.
Okay. And the source itself is a paperback. Fairly recent.
That's right. It just came out in March 2024. It was compiled by his grandson, Jason Grom, and Kim Rogers did the editing.
So compiled by his grandson, that adds another layer. But the diary itself, when does it start? What's the time frame we're looking at?
It kicks off back when he was in training here in the States, starting in 1942.
42. Okay.
And it runs right through his overseas service until 1945, so a pretty significant chunk of the war years.
Where did his service take him? You mentioned overseas.
Oh, quite a journey. He served in North Africa, then Italy, France, Belgium, and eventually into Germany itself.
Wow. That covers some major theaters of the war: North Africa, Italy, Western Europe.
It really does. You get a perspective across these different campaigns, all through his eyes.
The fact that he wrote almost every day, that's incredible dedication, especially under those conditions.
It is, isn't it? It really highlights that that need to communicate, to stay connected with home, even in the midst of everything.
And what do we know about Jack Anderson, the person? Does the family background, give us any context?
Well, his grandson, Jason Grom, the one who compiled the diary, remembers him very fondly. He talks about Jack having this gentle spirit, a really welcoming kind of person.
Not always the first image that comes to mind for a WWII sergeant.
Right. And apparently he was musical, too. Gifted, even. Jason mentions these memorable sing-alongs Jack used to lead. You can imagine how important something like that would be for morale.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bit of normalcy, maybe. A way to connect.
Yeah, sort of finding moments of humanity amidst the chaos. So the diary isn't just troop movements and battles. You get glimpses of that, too.
Which probably leads into why his grandson wanted to publish this now. It's more than just dates and places.
Exactly. Jason Grom has been pretty clear about his motivations. Primarily, it was about preserving this firsthand account, for future generations so people could understand what a soldier actually went through.
That makes sense. Keep that voice alive.
And also, very simply, to honor his grandfather, to create a tribute to him. It feels like a very personal project.
So if we kind of pull back for a second, what we have here is this incredibly detailed day-by-day narrative from basic training all the way through combat in Europe.
Yeah, unfiltered is a good word. It's history as it was lived, minute by minute, not, analyzed 50 years later. It's immediate.
That's what's so powerful about diaries like this, isn't it? That ground-level view.
Definitely. You lose that perspective in the big, sweeping histories sometimes. With a diary, you get the mundane stuff right alongside the life-changing events.
Can you give an example of that contrast?
Well, you might read about, say, the constant struggle to find dry socks or get a decent meal one day.
The everyday realities.
Right. And then the very next entry could describe a harrowing firefight or the loss of a friend. It's that mix, that very human perspective on war.
It really drives home that these huge historical events were lived by individuals, each with their own sort of daily texture of experience, hopes, fears.
Absolutely. And Jack chose to document that day in, day out for his family.
And now, thanks to his grandson, we get to share in that experience too, decades later. It feels quite intimate.
It does. It underscores how vital these personal stories, these microhistories are for truly grasping the past. They add flesh to the bones of history.
So wrapping up this look at Sergeant Jack Anderson's A Soldier Song, it really offers a unique window, doesn't it? A personal journey through training and across multiple fronts in WWII.
It absolutely does. And Jason Grom's effort in bringing it to light really serves that dual purpose, honoring his grandfather and making sure these kinds of firsthand stories endure. It adds so much depth.
So maybe something for you listening to think about. How do personal accounts like Sergeant Anderson's diary change how you see big historical events? What does preserving these individual voices really mean? And what unique insights do they offer that the broader history books might just skim over? Something to consider.